it was just initially supposed to be an occasional hookup. You know, I was curious. It was supposed to be that. And then after that first date, I think we wound up seeing each other every day. I take care of my obligations as a mom, and and then I would go and hang out, and I mean every day. And then before I knew it, I would sit at home once I left her, and I'm like, now what am I gonna do if she says to me, well, when you gonna leave him?
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Queerly Blax Show. I'm your host, Ashley, and I'm so happy you came by. The Queerly Blax Show aims to normalize the everyday existence of Black LGBTQIA plus individuals through an interview-style series with regular folks like you and me. So every week, a new guest shares their story and unique perspective on their existence as an LGBTQIA plus individual. Thank you for tuning in, and make sure you subscribe, download, set your reminders to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to another episode of the Queerly Blax Show. I'm your host, Ashley, and we are here with some very, very special guests, Rebecca and Chrisetta.
Perfect. Yes.
Yes, I got it right. So go ahead, tell the people about yourselves.
All righty. I am Chrisetta, born and raised here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I have 3 teenage boys from my 20-year marriage. You are looking at a almost 50-year-old woman.
50 years young. Looking good.
So I've lived a life, and now I'm starting another one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I am Rebecca, also born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, even though I have an Arkansas accent. That's a whole different story. But was born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Also was previously married and had 4 children. And as far as careers by trade, I am a carpenter. But I have worked numerous jobs over my lifetime. I've experienced doing a whole lot of stuff, including also working in corrections. COVID kind of put an end to that for me, unfortunately, not the disease itself, but some of the things that happened around quarantine and all that sort of thing. But again, this is a new stage in life for both of us, and I just turned 51.
Congratulations.
A week ago. Thank you.
Yeah, a week ago.
Yeah. Just here, this is new for both of us. Very, very, very new for both of us, and it was quite an adventure.
Yeah. But
that's awesome.
But it's fun. It's fun. It's fun. Right. We've known each other for 31 years. We we're at college together.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we knew of each other.
Mm-hmm. I really knew her mom.
Right. But we never really talked. It was just in passing. So it's we're still dealing with the fact that we're actually together, because before it was kind of like I always say whenever I tell people, yeah, hey Rebecca, and she
hey Chrisetta.
And that was the extent of it.
She thought I was mean, and I thought she was funny acting.
and that was the extent of it until 3 years ago. And for me, when I fell out of love with my husband, 2 years prior to meeting with her, there was something that was missing, and I didn't know what it was until I just all of a sudden became curious as to what it would be like to be with another woman. And then things just kind of happened, and we kind of connected, and all of a sudden we connected, and it was like,
fireworks.
It was like, oh shit, what am I going to do? What do I do? Because I was so used to living my life within the box. And all of a sudden it was like, okay, you were married, you got kids, you got a job, you got a nice house. Now it's kind of like, okay, so what do I do now? I done fell in love with a woman, and I got kids, and now I got to get, I was going to get gotta get a divorce, and then people are gonna, like, okay.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, like
We
what
gonna
do
get
people,
into it.
what do people think, what would people
Yeah,
think?
for sure.
But it all, there was a lot that went with that transition. But it all worked out. And I'm
Yes.
just as, all I say is I see rainbows and unicorns.
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
for me, it was a little different for me, because what was funny is that because I was and I use air quotes because I hate this term, a tomboy growing up, people just assumed that I was gay, queer, whatever already since I was a teenager.
And you play basketball.
And that's what I'm saying. I played basketball. I'm tall and broad shouldered and, and tough. I can fight and all of this stuff, but that
Carpenter.
I had a daddy that taught his kids how to fight. I mean,
right.
My daddy was a big 6'2", he was Mr. Wisconsin at one point. So I come from big folks. So I'm just a big, tall girl that plays basketball. I started out playing soccer, then somebody showed me how to play basketball. I fell in love with it and I was good at it. But that didn't, it's just stupid how people try to define people's sexuality based on, a boy that likes to do ballet, he must be gay. A girl like play basketball, she must. So that was my only issue with when I finally did become attracted to women. I was like, oh shit. Now everybody gonna think they was right about me the whole time, that part. So I have to, I don't have to, but I do just because the type of person I am. I have to kind of check people in with that. Like, they be like, see, I knew. I said, no, you didn't. You didn't know, you thought, and you were wrong. Now I like women. Back then I like men. I like boys. I like,
right.
So that's the only issue that I had, just because of the type of personality I am. With my family, I was just like, I want to talk to everybody face to face, but it wasn't like I was scared,
Yeah.
Because I mean, at this point, I'm 48.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm just letting you know that I'm in a relationship with this woman. I love her, and I'm just letting you know.
Right. Just informing you.
Right. Just informing you. I'm not asking for your opinion or whether you like it or not.
Right.
And my family knows that I'm like that. And so they were like, okay, well, how does she treat you? That's it. Because they knew it wasn't no sense in even trying, and not that they even would. The only person that would have had an issue with it was my dad, and he had passed away. 2 years prior? 2018, yeah. So, because I lost my dad, and then 3 months later, she lost her mom. And at that point, we still didn't even really know each other like that. But I did know her mother. So I went to her mother's funeral, and that was like the first time I had seen her since college. And I was like, look at Chrisetta over there with her little husband and her little 3 little boys. Oh, they're so cute. But I loved her mother. Yeah. And so, it was me and a bunch of other people that we went to college with, and we were like, we got to go to Miss Health's funeral and blah, blah. And so that was the first time I saw her. And even then, it wasn't like, ooh, look at her. It was just, oh, there's Chrisetta. Hey, Chrisetta. So this all, like she said, just came about because we both got to a point where we were looking for something. And it was a mutual friend of ours she was asking her about me. And then my best friend was like, I was talking to her like, I don't know what to do. Like, now I'm attracted to women, and how do you meet women and all, like I had no idea, what I was supposed, how to approach this subject. And I had already mentioned to her that this other friend was saying that this one over here was asking about me. So my best friend was like, well, what about Chrisetta? And I was like, Chrisetta?
I hadn't even thought.
Right. Just because I had never even, like, we won't even talk. Like, I think she don't even like me, right? Like as a friend or nothing. Right. And so she was like, well, maybe you should think about it. So I literally pulled up her Facebook. Let me take a look. So I pull up her Facebook, and I'm like, oh, she's kind of cute. Oh, look at this picture. Oh, look at my eyes. So that was really the first time I was really looking at it. And then I was like, huh, okay. well, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And it just went, at first it was just like, I was just trying to get to know her, period. Just because we knew of each other, but didn't know each other. Mm-hmm. So at that same time, we were both like really into working out. And my problem was I was looking for a workout partner because I'm inconsistent as hell. And I'm a procrastinator. And if I wake up and I don't feel like going to the gym, I ain't going. But I said, maybe if I have a workout partner and I have somebody to be like, girl, get up, let's go, then I'll go more. So I noticed on her Facebook that she was working out all the time. So I was like, let me see if she, we can go to the gym, and literally just innocently wanted to go to the gym and work out with her. She kind of takes it as me trying to flirt with her.
Well, I can see how.
Yeah. I completely understand. But at this point,
and she kind of cute. I see if she want to go to the gym.
Right. Right. No, that's not. That actually ain't even what I had on my mind, because I think it actually was before that. It was before my friend suggested I try to get with her, that I was just trying to go to the gym with her. But yeah, she thought that I was flirting with her. And she, at that point, she didn't even know whether or not I was straight, bi, or nothing.
Got it.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So then, as time went on, just little things would drop in conversation, and I would be like, huh.
And I was dropping them.
Right.
You dropping them to find it.
Because I was starting to get interested. So I started dropping them, and then once I started dropping them, she started picking them up. She was like, oh, right. Like, oh, wait, what's going on?
Because the other thing about it was, even though, like I said, I looked at her Facebook and saw that, I said, oh, she is cute. She cute. I also saw that she had a husband, 3 kids. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, yeah, I'm not not just like I'm not interested because she's married, but also because she married, she ain't interested. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She, so I, I wasn't trying to pursue that. But then when she started dropping hints, I was like, yeah, what's going on here?
She put the road in the way for you. She was like, here you go. I know you trying to see how to get over here. Here go the road. Just follow these instructions. And you
right. Follow the trail of popcorn.
Yeah.
So I'm, I'll be divorced come 2 years in April, and here we, like you hear this, divorced 2 years in April, mm-hmm. but we've been together 3 years. Mm-hmm. So, I was still
that transition period's a little long sometimes.
So because my transition period was 2 years. It was 2 years before I said, okay, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and get this divorce, because she gave me, I had to get out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to move. I'm gonna have to buy a house. So she gave me the strength I needed to get out of that comfort zone. Because like you say, when you need to make a change, it's always uncomfortable.
And she had been, gaslit to a certain extent to believe that she
couldn't make it on her own.
Right.
But so if we go back to like even the beginning, because I know you both kind of said before your marriages, right? Kind of growing up, neither one of you would have identified yourselves as lesbian at all or anything. Nope. Never, like, no interest in women, no like inklings like maybe, but then like I'm gonna ignore it, just nothing.
Nope. No. My sister is a lesbian and has been, out since high school. She's a little younger than me. And it was just like, what? Just mm-hmm. Nope, and my family did not respond well to that at all. But that, and sometimes people are like, well, is that why you? No, I just honestly, right. I was boy crazy. Mm-hmm. I did not, there was no attraction to females whatsoever. I'm like, why do you think I'm out here playing basketball? This is where all the boys are.
This is true. Very true. Yeah.
I'll be backing down into the lane like, yeah.
So, I love it. So you're Rebecca, how long were you married?
Okay.
Oh no.
Yeah, you're gonna like this.
You're gonna get the disclaimer. I'm still married.
Okay. Well, how long were you in your
we've been split up for a year. Our youngest child is 16. I split up from him when she was 1. We just never got a divorce. So we're doing the paperwork and stuff now.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Awesome. So then your marriages, at what point was there any point in your relationship other than it just kind of naturally not working out? And I think that journey is probably different for both of you, because it sounds like your points in separating from your spouses was a little bit different. Was there ever a point, Chrisetta, in your relationship before Rebecca, that you had an interest in women or had explored that with any other women, or just her?
No, she is my first one. But what I noticed is that in my marriage is that there was times where I wanted to bring in another one.
Okay.
Just for, to have fun.
Spice it up a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Right. But I don't think he was, he wasn't where I was. So that's when I think I became, curious as to what it would be like. So, but that never happened, that never happened in my marriage. So, it was what it was. And I think 2 years before maybe 4 years before I divorced, but 2 years before we met, I had completely fell out of love. It was kind of like, we were just kind of like in the house going through the motions. And then at that point, during that time is when I was missing something. And I had no idea what I was missing until she and I hooked up. And once she and I hooked up, had that first kiss, it was kind of like, oh boy, what do I do now? And people still ask me, well, are you interested in women? And oddly enough, my answer is, I'm still not interested in other women, just this one. I don't go out. For me, if a woman looks pretty, man look handsome, I have no problem giving people their, like they say, their flowers about how good they look. Or that's what I do. But as far as being out there interested, I don't be like, ooh, look at her, look at her.
Yeah, that's me.
This is,
right.
So my thing is, I only have, which is fine, but I only have, and just because I'm with her, people are like, so that means you like all women. No, I don't. So
she definitely don't, have a, like, we joke around about, going out and going to a club or something, flirting with another woman or something like that. But as far as, actually looking and being attracted, like, oh, damn, look at that. That's just me. She's not, she does not. And fortunately for me, she don't trip if I do that neither. Because, the one thing that we talk about and remind ourselves is that this is new for both of us.
Right.
Yeah. So even though we're in love and we plan to be together, it's still like, hey, like it's a new feeling. Like, and so we don't have issues with each other kind of just dealing with that, or exploring, for lack of a better term.
We're very open.
Yeah, we're very open about that.
We don't have an open relationship, but we're open.
Right.
So
Rebecca, did you had you dated women before, Chrisetta? No?
Nope.
So when you separated, did you date like kind of at all after your separation?
Yeah, I dated men. Yep.
So who initiated the relationship?
I think it was probably more me than anything.
That's the trail.
It was more me. I think it was more me. I was more, and we joke about that, about, her saying me dropping in her DMs, and we were doing Facebook messaging. And I think that kind of, I was dropping them. She was picking them up. She was bringing them back, and I was bringing them back. And so that kind of, and then we had one of our first, because the friend that we were talking about, she was supposed to be our buffer, because she was supposed to meet us out somewhere. And I knew she wasn't going to come. And while I went to meet her, our friend called, couldn't come. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, okay.
She almost turned around.
Because I'm like, well, what are we going to, no, because I was already there.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, like, what are we going to talk about? Because now we don't have that
that buffer, the person in between that was always there.
Right. So we wound up talking, and then I wound up going to another friend's bar, and she came along, And then at that point, that's when things kind of, we kind of opened ourselves up to each other. We kind of started to get a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, like the body language changed.
Right.
Yeah.
So at that point, it didn't take long for things to take off, because when we did finally start, my thing was I wanted to have a kiss first. I wanted to see if there was something. Mm-hmm. So we made plans to meet out, and we met out at the park, and we,
like a walking trail.
Right. And we did that. And at that point it was kind of like, oh my gosh. It was just like it was
supposed to have a date like on a Friday.
Right. And we met at the park on Wednesday. Like, right.
Before we even waste our time having a date, we should see if there's even any chemistry. Right. Blah, blah, blah. Let's meet. And so I was like, okay. She said we should meet and kiss and see if there's any chemistry. And I was like, okay.
You're like, I ain't gonna turn that down.
I'm there like you.
And you press it.
Like she don't know. She kissed me, it's over.
When she get this, she ain't going back. So I hope she know what she signed up for.
I know. Shoot.
And she pressed me up against that. What was that? That railing? She pressed me up against that railing. River. And that was it. And then we continued on the walk. And I'm thinking, okay, we got the first one out the way. It was great. That was it. And I'm thinking that was going to be it. We were walking for like a half hour, 45 minutes. And every now and then she like, I
come over by this tree.
Right.
I love it.
So there was just the, and everybody in our circle is fine with us.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah. So what was going through your mind when you were, because at this point, you're still kind of transitioning out of the marriage situation or figuring out kind of that dynamic, like after that first date, like that drive home, like what was going through your mind?
What am I going to do? Because I was not looking for anything. It was just initially supposed to be an occasional hookup. I was curious. It was supposed to be that. And then after that first date, I think we wound up seeing each other every day. I take care of my obligations as a mom, and and then I will go and hang out, and I mean every day. And then before I knew it, I would sit at home once I left her, and I'm like, now what am I gonna do if she says to me, well, when you gonna leave him? Mm-hmm. Or what are we doing here? And I was afraid of that, because I'm like, well, I don't really know what to do. And I knew as time went on, it wasn't going to be fair for me to just have her as my side. So, things worked out. Yeah. Eventually, after 2 years, I worked up the courage and I filed for divorce. And, my husband had to find out what he had to find out. And I just had to convince him that it wasn't him, because I was already gone from him, emotionally. Yeah. But it was just kind of like, what am I going to do? And it has all worked out.
And Rebecca, was there any points during that time where, what was your emotion kind of going through that process of, like, was there ever any like insecurity, or like, is this a dream? And then kind of that up until the point where, the split officially kind of was like, she's definitely out on her own, and she's definitely, this is it. You know what I mean? Like, what was that for you?
Well, for me, that first kiss was just the most amazing thing that ever happened to me. And then when we had our date, she talked about I was kissing her when we went for a walk. I was all over her ass during that date.
Right. Out in public, in front of people.
Like,
right.
I don't care. Fuck them.
Right.
I'm sorry. I was, all over her. And, even when we left, I walked her to her car, and then I got in her car with her, which I think was your idea actually. And and so we in the car kissing some more and whatever. And I'm just like, ooh, I should just tell her to come to my house. And it was real, it was great, but it was also kind of funny because it was like, I think we talked about this, we both were like, there was this energy and this fire and this passion between us, but we were both inexperienced, and we both like, okay, this is great. Now, what are we gonna do now? What do we do? What's next? How do we,
Right.
But I literally wanted to ask her to come home with me, but also just in the conversations that we had leading up to, because we went back and forth on Messenger and stuff like that for a long time before we actually had this first date. And I just felt like if I did ask her, she would come, but then she might feel bad that she did. So I didn't ask her, but then we had a date the next day, Saturday. And then she came over. And like she said, from that point on, we were together every single day. And I stood at my door dancing every time, waiting for her. And I see her pulling up. I'm like,
and the biggest thing is, and we experienced, I think we told our mutual best friend this, we experienced the 5 hour, the 6 hour, 6 hour lovemaking sessions.
Yeah.
And we're like, whoa. You don't get that with me.
Yeah.
So, and it was kind of like, and so when I would leave her, I would go home and I would sit in this leather chair in my house that was in front of the TV, and I would sit there and I'd be like, whoa. Right. It was kind of like, it was so intense and so great, just the emotions. I would be at work during the day, and I would have these, when you fall in love, and I had to read about it. I was just kind of like almost, I don't want to say sick to my stomach, but it was kind of like all these things just, and I'm like, it's still that way. Even when we go out on dates and stuff. I mean, now we live together. Even when we go out on dates, I still get excited and butterflies and, I'm looking forward to, so it's just, right. And I like it because 3 years later, I still feel that way, and it's still intense. And I didn't feel that way, during the duration of my marriage at all. So I'm sure we'll have some moments.
Right.
But for the most part, everything has just been, I think, because we're just so connected, which is crazy.
As far as me, that was the overall feeling after that first date, and during the time it went on. It was kind of the only scary parts were, number one, how fast I fell in love with her, and I knew she was in love with me. Like, I just knew that. That was scary. Like, whoa, like that's just never happened before. And then the fact that she was married, and not like how I was married. She was married, and it's like, what do I do? Because I never once, during the whole time that she was still married, never once told her she had to get a divorce. As a matter of fact, I was just the opposite, telling her, do not get a divorce, right? Just because you think you want to be with me. You divorce him because you don't want to be with him no more, period. And so that my fear was that because I knew she was in love with me, that she would divorce because of me. And then something would go wrong, and then she would be mad at me because things didn't work out with us. Yeah. So that was my biggest fear during that time, other than getting caught and getting killed or something, but that was a fear too. I was like really afraid of being blamed for ending her marriage. Yeah. So I always told her, don't do that. Don't do that for me. You do that because that's what you want to do. You've been out of love with him, then you need to divorce him. But don't divorce him because you're in love with me. Right. So, yeah. But other than that, it was just the most wonderful feeling I've ever had. It's just a whole different game. It's just a whole different feeling and a whole different level of emotion, which is positive, but it also can be negative. because then when something is going wrong, then you got that whole different level of emotion going on. And I'm real, or at least I used to be, a real logical, you know, when I get into an argument with my husband, it was like, hey, you know,
you think like a man.
Yeah, I do.
So
you did such and such. I really didn't like that. I would appreciate it in the future if you would not, blah, blah, blah. And he'd be like, okay, I understand. All right, what I'm gonna make some chicken. You want to, then it would be over with.
Right, yeah. No.
Yo.
No.
What?
Yeah.
Just like
Totally different. Totally, the conversations are very, very, very different.
Oh my God, so heated over the smallest stuff. And I just, and when early, I mean, I still to a certain extent, like, what is this? But in the beginning, I was real like, oh my God, what is going on? I had no, like, this, if anything was going for me in the relationship, that was going to be it. Like, I just can't, this is just too much. This is too much emotion. For me, when there's something simple going on, and like, why are you still mad? That happened 3 days ago. I'm sorry that I wore my shoes in the house. I mean, like,
Yeah. No, totally.
Right. That was that was an adjustment.
Was there anything that you guys had to establish as far as communication to be able to like kind of effectively move it forward? Because women are different, right? And the way that we communicate is different and get to an understanding. We are emotional, so we don't turn over as quickly in a lot of situations. So what was that communication process?
We're still in it.
Yeah, we're still in the process. We were just in it, yesterday? Right. Yeah, we were just in it yesterday where I want to keep going. I'll text about it while I'm at work. Then we'll talk about it when I get home. And she's like, I don't want to do this. And I'm learning, and I need to respect her to be like, you know what? She's like, I can't talk to you right now. Give me some time. And I need to learn to give her that time.
One of the things that I had to get used to.
I always want to talk.
She always want to talk. And when we ain't face to face, she want to text. Dealing with men, I ain't had to worry about that conversation or shit. Like, you go, all right, see you, like, have a good day. And that's it. I ain't talking to your ass
till 5 p.m.
Right. I got quiet time in my own head to think about whatever, even with the kids, like, oh, baby, you need a snack? Boom, 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 here's your snack. Blue's Clues is on. And I go about do my thing. I can't do that with her.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, we're texting her. And at first, it was fun. It was cute because it was new and like, ooh, 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 she said that, and I'm texting right back. Then after a while, it was like, I'm sitting here watching TV. Boop. Yeah, baby, I love you too. You so beautiful.
It never changes.
Yeah. I can't wait till date night too, baby. You said, all right. Like,
it never changes. It doesn't change.
And it's not right. And I've tried to explain this to her in the past. And depending on, what's happening in that moment, if we're already arguing about something, she's not receptive to stuff I say about that kind of stuff. But, in a situation like this where we're just talking, then maybe she listens more or kind of understands what I'm saying.
I imagine for you, even at that time, it was tough too, because if you guys were, you're figuring things out on this side, but then, you still have the family dynamic situation going on. So I know you're probably like,
I had a lot going on. And you are right, because I had to deal with the emotions of how I was feeling, dealing with her emotionally. And then I'm like, okay, now I got to go over here and deal with that. Mm-hmm. So for me, I was kind of like, I think during that time is when I discovered panic attacks. Because I would be getting ready for work and I would start to freak out about certain things. And I would call my one girlfriend and she was like, you need to breathe through this, because there was so much going on. I had all this emotion for her. And then I'm like, okay, well, I got to do this, deal with him, do this divorce thing. And then, eventually, because I was thinking so far down the road, like, what are people going to think? What are my boys going to think? And I'm just like, and my thing is, like I said, I was always the one, his parents were, still married. My parents were married for like 40 something years. And, here I'm married like almost 20. And I'm thinking, now you about to break all that.
Yeah.
You're about to break all that. And of course, I had one relative that really was just that didn't handle that very well. I mean, things have kind of gotten better. But I think for her, it was, she felt like she needed to know, be in the know. And I'm like, well, this is something new for me. I will tell you when I get comfortable.
Yeah.
So throughout everything, you know, I had to deal with the gossip and this and that. But when the dust settled, I told people that I wanted to tell.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you're hearing, that's fine. But when I tell you, you know, because I always say, I could deal with somebody who's like 8-9 months pregnant. If she doesn't tell me she's pregnant, I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go to somebody else and say, well, no, if she wanted me to know she was pregnant, even though she clearly is,
even though that baby just popped out while I was talking to her.
Right. Right.
And
did you see that fell on the floor? Did you see that?
Right. Yeah, right. And I'm that way. If I don't tell you, then, but my thing is, you can believe what you want to believe. And
so did you as we say, like with young people in turn, like kids, when I ask people like their coming out stories, and when they're younger, like 10, 11, did you come out or were you outed?
I was outed because I had a best friend at the time who told everybody, because my ex-husband, and we have a great relationship, so everything is all good, but we work in the same field and in the same building. I'm just an agent. He's a supervisor, and he supervises, you know, a group of probably, like at the time, 10 people. So this friend of mine, who I consider my best friend at the time, when I eventually started to share with her and open up everything to her,
I told her that bitch was shady.
Right. and I laid out everything to her. She took it upon herself to tell all those individuals. And I told her, I was like, he has to supervise these people because he's their boss. I said, you didn't take the time, because if he has to do a meeting, he has to stand up in front of these people and do this meeting knowing that they know
his business.
Right.
Because you think you just telling her business, but you telling his business too.
Right.
And you acting like you his friend or something, but you just...
Was she a mutual friend? Was she like a family? Was she both of your friends, or was she your friend and then kind of be like...
Yeah, we all work together in the same field. So we all knew each other, but she and I had gotten closer over the, over the years. And then once I found out that, you know, she told all these people, I went to him and I said, FYI, just to let you know, she done told all these people. So we both had to deal with walking around the office, because he and I were still close and still talking. And she's like, well, why are you always talking to him? I was like, first of all, you've had 2 failed marriages. And I said, he and I are friends and we're parents.
Yeah. Second of all, mind your damn business.
Right. Right. So I had to deal with that, you know, walking through the office with people knowing that, you know, but see, to me, I'm sorry to interject, and I told her this, I said, you know what this is going to be? This is going to be a good weeding out process. You don't find out who your real friends are.
Right.
And I told her from Jump Street, that chick right there is shady as hell, her and this other girl. And it turned out I was 100% right. And the people that, you know, like let's say you ranking your friends, she had this one up here, and this one here, and this one here. Well, guess what? Everything shifted, and you find out who your real friends were. And so there's been a whole shift dynamic of who she knows she can trust and who actually loves her for real. And and you know, to a certain extent, she, you know, kind of outed herself just because
I couldn't keep
her
smiles to myself.
Right. She would bring me around and be like, yeah, this is my friend.
Oh man.
You know, we went to college.
That arm rub is a dead giveaway.
And so when I finally told those people that, you know what they said? We've been through that.
We've been through that.
But whenever you
talk about her, you just light up.
Don't skip the good part though, because as soon as she walked me out and walked me back to my car or whatever, I'd be like, you know, so and so, no, right? No, she know. I didn't tell her. I said, you just did when you introduced me to her. If she didn't know before that, and you know, I would be talking to her on the phone while she's at work, and hear, you know, like her friend in the next cubicle or whatever, saying stuff, and I'll be like shaking on the other end, like shaking my head, like this girl just don't know that all her friends know what's going on, because she could not. She have a friend meet us out somewhere. We'd be out having a drink or something. Yeah, my friend so and so is gonna come, but she doesn't know about us yet. And I'd be like, okay. And see, the people have told me in the past I should be an actor anyway, but I'm just real cool, laid back, just. And she's the one. Yeah. And I would be like, after it's all over, she know, right? How would she know I didn't tell? I'd be like, never mind. Even when she finally broke back, because I kept telling her, you should tell your boys, you should tell your boys, you should tell your boys. I just don't think they're ready. I don't think that. And I'd be like, Chrisetta, your sons are teenagers and they are not stupid.
Right.
They know what's up. No, they don't know. Chrisetta, they know.
And so after my divorce, and it was almost a year, I finally told them, and my middle boy, he was sitting in the back seat of the car. It's about time. We already knew. I was like, really? He was like, yeah. I was like, well, why you all didn't say nothing? They was like, well, we were waiting for you.
Yeah.
And then my oldest was sitting in the front, and he's like 6'4", and he had this big hand, and he put it on my shoulder. He was like, Mom, I hope you weren't nervous to tell us that, because that's fun. And then we all said,
because that's fun.
Right.
That's fine.
It's fine.
Oh, fine.
And then we all laughed about it and
moved right along. Yeah. And Rebecca, you have kids too, right?
Yeah.
And your kids were, how was the process with your kids?
Well, with mine, it was because, again, she was always coming to my house because she was, married. And so she would come to my house, and, we would be locked away in my bedroom. And then I would, when she finally was ready to go home, I'd be sneaking her out, okay, I'll see you later. Get to the front door, and I watch her, make sure she got in the car safe, to drive away. And then I creep, and I would be like, why do I feel like I'm a teenager sneaking home?
it's your house.
Right, it's my damn house.
Grown up, right.
So finally, I just said, because it was just at that point, because my sons were adults, and it was just my daughters living with me. So I had 2 boys and 2 girls, and I just sat my daughters down, and I was like, and what was funny was that one of my daughters had already come out to me. So she beat me to the punch. Mm. And so then I told them, I said, Miss Chrisetta comes over all the time, and I just want you guys to know that she is my girlfriend, and we're in a relationship, and we're in love with each other. And they were just like, they were just so happy. It's just like, so it was that simple with them. And then I told my oldest son, who is no longer with us, unfortunately, was autistic, and I just didn't know how to explain it to him. Mm-hmm. So I hadn't gotten around to it yet. My other son, who was in his early 20s, but just regular guy, I told him, and he was just his response was funny. His response was hilarious. He was like, wait a minute. So how you how you go from liking men to liking women? And I was like, well, it's not something that's unusual. I said, sexuality can be very fluid, especially in women, and blah, 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 blah. And I said, I was telling, talking to my friend so-and-so, which is the mutual friend we keep talking about, who also had been married to a man, mm-hmm. And had children, and then fine. Now with her, she always had been, but she just went with the status quo. You know what I'm saying? Right. And later on in life, she's younger than both of us, right?
By a year, 2 years. Yeah.
But later on in life, she was just like, this is love. And she got divorced, and she's with women. Right. And my son knows her also, but he had only knew her married to her husband. And I forgot that he didn't know that. And so I was like, well, Miss So-and-so, she's the same way. She's with women, and she used to be married to me. He was like, wait a minute, what?
I said, he tripped out. He tripped out.
I said, oh, you didn't know that? He was like, no. Right.
He's like, y'all been lying to me.
Right.
Everybody's lying.
Right. I'm sorry. I forgot the last time you saw her was at their house mowing the lawn and stuff. Right. But yeah, she's got a girlfriend and blah, blah, blah. So he was like, okay. He's like, I'm confused. But, whatever. As long as you're happy, I don't care.
Yeah.
Which was, response of the rest of my children. Then, like I said, my oldest son passed away in 2020 before I ever got a chance to figure out how to tell him.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So that was it. The kids were no problem. No problem. Well, nobody.
So really, once everything was out on the table, it was all good.
Yep.
Yeah. So you guys are very bear and baby girl.
Yeah.
You guys are very open and openly affectionate about your relationship. Was that a mutual decision to kind of share your journey on social media, or how did that come about?
It was because we wanted to do it because for us, I had, did a little reading, and I have found that, some women late in life, they change. And we were those two, and we wanted to share that, and hopefully one day we always talk about, we like to do a book or a blog or just something, because we just want to share, share what we have, and just share with the fact that,
that this does have kind of like what you were saying about why you do what you do,
right?
Is that, if we can help one person understand, because because I started having these feelings earlier than she did. I say about when I hit 40 was when I first started having these feelings. And I thought I was going crazy. I thought there was something wrong with me. And that's why I didn't even act on them for so long, because I was like, why the hell? Why don't nobody just turn gay? Like, what the hell? Like literally was messing with my mind. And I thought I was going crazy. And then I still liked men too. So I was just like, what the hell is going on? Am I going through menopause? Is it making my brain crazy? The hormone? What is it? And it wasn't until, again, this same friend we keep talking about, I finally broke, because I didn't tell nobody. I was just like, oh, everybody's gonna think I'm weird. People ain't gonna want to be friends with me no more. And I finally broke even with this friend who was an out lesbian. It took me years to even be able to tell her. And I was like, dude, I gotta talk to you. This is what's going on with me. I don't know what the hell's wrong. And she was the one that was just like, so she's the one told me about the fluidity and all of that kind of stuff. And I was like, whew, okay, I thought I was losing it. And so then that conversation kind of helped me just accept what I was feeling. And then at that point, again, I still didn't know what to do about it, but at least I didn't know, no longer thought I was going crazy.
Right.
And so when we got deep off into this relationship, we were like, there's probably other people out there like us experiencing some of the same doubts and questions and thinking they're the only ones and all of this kind of stuff. So if we can do something to kind of help those people see you're not alone. And then just because we have so much fun with each other, some of this stuff, because she's always been real private. If you look at her social media and go all the way back, she didn't even post that much with her husband. And I told her, I said, well, you're going to be on display with me, because everybody going to know who my boo thing is. I'm telling you that right now.
Right.
And so it was, it really something that I started, because I would post us on my page and I'd be like, you just got to deal with it, because that's how it is.
Right.
And over time, it got to where she was like, okay, well, shoot, I'm gonna start posting stuff too. And next thing you know, every time we go somewhere,
that's selfie.
Right, selfie time. Yep.
Yes, indeed. No, it's great. I think it's beautiful to show, like, just to showing like a fun, loving, happy, healthy relationship, and especially, under the context of finding love later, and that like it's still possible, right? Because I mean, even my mom is straight, but her and my father are divorced, and, they've been married for 20 something years, but even just that hope for, I think, both queer and straight people, that like you can find love later in life and you can define that happiness for yourself. So I think it's great. And I'm, personally thankful for you guys just, sharing that with all of us. So thank you for that. So we've reached the end. One thing I always ask, I ask every guest, first of all, thank you guys for coming on, and thank you for sharing your story so openly. I think they're, obviously, as you guys see, I'm sure your following grows every day. There's a new person. And so I always ask, what's one piece of advice you have for, someone that may be experiencing the same things that you experienced?
Well, the one of the things that got me through, and I still hear her voice, the mutual friend that we had that we were talking about, she always told me when I was going through the process to live in your truth. So if this is what you want, you do that, because that's what's going to make you happy, and you can't make anyone else happy. And what I have found is that, yes, I've lost some people, but I've also gained people. And those are the people that you need to, it may hurt to lose the people that you love or the people that you care about, but there's another group of people who will take you and love you, or stay with you and love you. And you just have to, I guess, not be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to not be afraid to go ahead and take that leap.
Yep.
And then once you get there and you start living that way, like I did, once I finally got there and started, I'm the happiest I have ever been. And that has, and because of that, how I love people is different because of what we have.
Yeah, that's good. That's really important. That's really good.
Yeah. And that stepping out, it can be scary because you're afraid of losing people. But just like what I told her, those people you lose, if people are only with you and only love you under conditions, then you don't need them anyway. Yeah. Because people's love and care for you should be unconditional, outside of extremes. But who you choose to love should not be a condition of whether or not somebody wants to be your friend or your mom or what. It is, we're in a time now where people are being more and more accepting of taking care of their own mental health. That's part of your mental health. If people are willing to hurt you because of who you love, then you don't need those people around you. And I don't care if it's your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your kid, your mom, whatever. You don't need to be around people who are going to tear you down and make you feel bad about yourself.
Right.
You owe it to yourself to choose happiness. You choose happiness over anything else. So that is what I would hope people would take away from this, is that we neither one of us knew what was going to happen when we came out and told people or whatever, but we were willing to take that chance. Me more so than her. She had to be kind of guided along.
Right.
But me, I'm like, you know what? I'm about to be 50. I really just, you can just really, really kiss my behind if you don't like something about me. Because I've spent the first part of my life trying to make other people happy and do what other people want to do. And all it did was make my life more difficult. So now I'm going to do what makes me happy. I'm not going to hurt anybody in the process. Try not to, but I'm going to do what makes me happy. And this woman right here makes me happy.
Ditto.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Yep. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rebecca and Chrisetta, for coming on and sharing your story. This is the Queerly Blax Show. I'll catch y'all on the next one.